All right, thank you guys so much for coming out today. We're just going to introduce ourselves really quickly, but I just want to say, first of all, how proud we are of all the students and how excited we are to have you all here today. So today, as you know, is the last and final day of the Harvard Crimson Scholars Program, which is run entirely by the Harvard Crimson. This is going to be the nation's oldest continually published daily newspaper, entirely student-run. To introduce ourselves really quick, my name is Kelly. I am Global Programs Manager, which is the department that will be running this program today.
Hi everybody, my name is Bella. I'm a third year at Harvard and I'm a strategist at the Crimson. Very proud of our students and glad to get started today.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny. I am a first year at Harvard and I am actually part of the advertising department of the Harvard Crimson.
I'm Mina. I'm also a first year at Harvard and I'm a marketing associate for the Harvard Crimson, and it was such a joy to work with these kids.
So we're very excited to present today our students' culminating projects. What these are final presentations that were adapted from argumentative essays. What we learned a lot during our time with HCS is, argumentation 101. That was one of our workshops, but that is essentially what was taught during our time here. We worked a lot on developing the students' writing skills and leadership skills, as well as public speaking, which is what you will see in our culminating project today. So with that being said, we will get started with our first presentation. We have Group 1 with Pippa, Alta, Mari, and Karana.
Education is a truly important milestone in a person's life. It opens them up to so many opportunities and possibilities that its importance cannot be understated. Many people go to school with the hopes that the knowledge they gain will help them in their everyday lives. However, that is not often the case, as proven by vocational high schools in Indonesia, otherwise known as SMK. Our group proudly presents Guava 21, Gerakan untuk Adaptasi Edukasi Vokasi kepada Abad 21.
In this presentation, we will begin by talking about what vocational education is, then continue with the issues in vocational education in Indonesia.
Then we'll go on about our solution and acknowledge your concerns.
Vocational education equips a student with employable and marketable skills in a reasonable short period of time in order to prepare students for immediate work. Vocational schools in Indonesia are known as SMK. They come in form of high school that specialize in chosen area of study. The areas of studies provided are technology, energy, mining, tourism, arts, creative industries, agribusiness, health, and social work. SMK is a popular choice among underprivileged individuals who need to find jobs easily to get income to support themselves and their family. As you can see from the graph, above the number,
As you can see by the graph, the number of students in SMK have been rising steadily, from 4.0 to 5.39 in 2022.
with over 5 million students enrolling in 2021 to 2022. Next slide, please. The problem is graduates are provided with lessons that are inadequate in their industries, resulting in them not having inadequate practical knowledge for most professions.
So now I will start talking about the issue with vocational education in Indonesia. In 2021, SMK graduates accounted for 12.65% of the unemployed individuals in Indonesia. This is due to the fact that local and foreign employers report a number of SMK graduates are unprepared for their respective industries.
An SMK graduate named Ratih Mawarti believes that the main problem is the discrepancy between the industry's needs and the skills offered by vocational schools. Her school offered 4 areas of specialization, which included accounting, baking and pastry, electrical engineering, and mechanical engineering. To her knowledge, only the accounting course has been judged adequately by the industry. This is a graph that shows data of unemployment rates based on the level of education from 2014 to 2017. And as you can see from the SMK data, the unemployment rates get higher as the years go by, and this supports our argument that the skills of vocational high schools become more outdated as the years go by.
Despite the original intention of SMK providing graduates a job immediately after graduation, the long-term future of SMK graduates is not promising, as they lack the practical skills needed to sustain a job. In vocational high school, students are provided with lessons that are considered inadequate for their chosen industries. The skills they are taught do not meet the job demands, increasing unemployment rates among vocational students. In the ever-evolving professional climate of 2023, a multitude of skills are needed to find a job and succeed. These marketable skills are crucial due to the fact that most SMK graduates work in blue-collar jobs. Therefore, digital skills such as how to use spreadsheets, general technological skills, and other skills are necessary for the welfare of any person in 2023, such as how to make passive income and how to budget their money. Such skills are not taught in Indonesian vocational high schools, leaving their graduates incapable of keeping a sustainable job. Furthermore, vocational education only covers a few subject options, making it harder for them to find jobs in other industries.
In consideration of the factors established by our research, our group believes that offering supplementary online education above SMK education is the key to ensuring the success of SMK graduates currently and in the future. We chose to create an online course at the start of our business, but as our business grows and expands naturally, we will start to consider creating offline courses for the more underdeveloped regions of Indonesia where technology and internet is not so accessible. Video courses will be presented primarily by senior Indonesian university students with the experience and skills necessary to teach these skills. The reason we chose these individuals, apart from their obvious qualifications, are that they benefit from us and we benefit from them. They benefit by gaining experience and we benefit from their knowledge.
For example, reaching out to students outside of Indonesia already includes a language barrier. This is why we chose to hire and recruit Indonesian students. The courses will extend to panel talks by small businesses and guest speakers, and the supplementary system will offer a course on passive income through investment and other means, how to start a small business, an introduction to computer skills, an introduction to data management, an introduction to how to use Google or Excel sheets, and digital literacy. The courses will also include information on soft skills, such as how to apply for jobs and how to network.
These skills were chosen due to the fact that SMK graduates and SMK students may not always follow their passions. As mentioned before, they have a heavy financial burden, and that's the reason why they go to SMK. They expect to gain a job straight after graduation, but that's not always the case. Therefore, that's why we're offering courses in how to make passive income and how to budget your money so they can save their money and relieve themselves of the financial burden. Additionally, the courses that they learn in digital literacy and Google Sheets are not only applicable to the major that they studied in vocational high school, but also if they want to go to other industries where those skills are needed. The effectiveness of our solution is guaranteed by the socioeconomic background of students who enroll in SMK. As mentioned before, they go there to relieve themselves of the financial burden, and they need a way to make quick money, which is what our course offers them to do. Regarding the concerns that we have received about funding and where we would get this from, our group believes that we would be able to gain funding from small business loans and other things of that nature in order to support our cause. Our group, Guava 21, truly believes that all forms of education are valid and necessary for all people. Therefore, support our cause to fulfill the promises and dreams of young Indonesians today and tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. As you can see, our amazing students are giving like TED Talk style talks, really based on social issues at the moment and equitable solutions. So coming up next is Group 2 with Ghana, Rafi, Tyrone, Isan, and Bintang.
over 525,000 men every year. Over 43,000 every month. 10,000 every week. 1,400 every day. 60 every hour, and 1 every minute. These are the statistics for how many men choose to take their own lives, yet we do not talk about it much. The topic that we will be talking about today is men's mental health stigma. We'll be having a table of contents that includes an introduction. We'll be talking about religion, culture. We'll be providing a solution and also a concluding statement. Firstly, our introduction. For men, they feel caged in and are hesitant in seeking help. And this cage, it's built upon stigma fueled by the archaic cultural standards and the expectations built upon the rigid demands of religion. And this stigma surrounding men's mental health, it creates these expectations that men are forced to uphold. But yet when they cannot fulfill those expectations, what it does, it adds extra weight and it affects their overall mental health drastically. And because of the stereotypical images of men in Indonesia, men are hesitant to seek help from other people, choosing to deal with their issues by themselves, further engulfing themselves in their own thoughts. And this problem is exacerbated by the socio-political context of their respective societies. And in Indonesia, it is especially a taboo topic. And Indonesian religion and culture, they impose burdenful expectations on men to remain strong and independent, stigmatizing mental health and vulnerability.
Right. Ingrained in the minds of adolescent Muslims and written across the Quran, strength and independence are token male characteristics. Although they promote healthy virtues, they also imply that weakness and a need for support are causes for shame. As stated in the Surah An-Nisa, the 4th Surah in the 24th verse, men are the caretakers of women, as men have been provisioned by Allah over women and tasked with supporting them financially. This is an example of the expectations set by religion for males. It is stated that males must serve as the protector of women, and it is expected that males have to provide support to women financially as they're designed that way by Allah. Besides this surah, this expectation to lead and protect is reflected in certain religious practices. For example, in prayers, men must act as imams or prayer leaders, whereas women simply follow and are forbidden to lead prayers. Men are also positioned in the front while women are placed in the back. And it has been and has always remained that way. Privilege is a burden. It may seem like a privilege for men to lead the prayer, but it is also a burden. Another expectation for them to fulfill.
The next aspect we're going to look at is culture. Culture is led by media and mindset. Social media. Strength and independence. These are virtues that are glorified by social media. But it's also a burden pressed upon the men of Indonesian society. One such example, a quote from Herjunot Ali, who is a male Indonesian presenter. He stated that men should be able to stand on their two own feet. This became a viral clip on TikTok, and it's kind of an example of the burden that men have to face. It implies that men have to be by themselves. They have to carry the burden of life by themselves. Online information and media are the majority of what people consume nowadays. And it is a mirror and image of the values of society. Another aspect are films. In films, especially Indonesian films, men are shown as heroes. But heroes are not realistic. A research paper I read show that male protagonists in contemporary Indonesian films are shown as infallible, strong, independent. They're shown as perfect. And while this may be flattering in a way, it is also an extra burden. It is reflected because the men that consume this media believe inside themselves that they have to be perfect as well. The problem is right in front of us. It is in the movies we watch, in the media we consume, in the TikToks, in the examples of people online. It's everywhere. But so is the solution.
So, before we start, let's ask ourselves, what is stigma? Stigma is built upon ignorance. Stigma is when someone perceives you negatively due to a distinctive attribute or a personal trait that is seen to be or is genuinely a disadvantage. So, how is a problem as intangible as stigma combated? There are lots of solutions in the world to solve this problem. However, we came up with 2 solutions that we think are the most efficient ways to solve this problem. First, we got educate yourself and others. And second is raise awareness of the problem itself. So there are lots of benefits of educating yourself and others. As we all know, Indonesians tend to be stubborn and also close-minded. But with educating yourself and others, we could make people to be more open-minded, less ignorant, which means it is easier to deliver our message to them. And also, by educating yourself and others, we could respond to misconceptions or negative comments by sharing our own knowledge.
So the next content and the last content is conclusion, and we're going to talk about why stigmatizing why is it important. So, okay. So Indonesia religion and culture have a heavy demands on males to be strong, self-sufficient, and stigmatizing to be independent. And however, it is crucial to be aware of this expectation because it might have a really bad impact to the men. So men often face pressure to hide their vulnerability and emotions, leading to internalized and health issues, and a lack of support, and also make them believe that life is no longer worth living. So recognizing and challenging this expectation could create more inclusive and supportive environment for men, and address and seek help for their mental health concern openly. So this is important not for only well-being of individual of man itself, but also the well-being of the society as entire. Addressing this, problem might create a healthy environment and also equitable environment for all. Thank you.
Throughout the course of our presentation, around 8 men have decided to take their own lives. So let us raise more awareness on men's mental health and eradicate the stigma one conversation at a time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Group 2. Up next is Group 3, Kai, Ariel, Andisa, and Bailan.
In a world where all views are accepted, we follow a voice. rather than an opinion. Society consists of individuals. Individuals who exchange, cooperate, compete, accommodate, and conflict. These components are the basis of social interaction in a world where we are more connected than ever. Anyone now has the ability to communicate at a scale larger than even the people they know, collecting ideas and sharing their own, even children. As a result, people are more socially aware than ever. However, awareness quickly turns into consciousness and further on, sensitivity. Whether being related to one's appearance, one's opinions, and even status, children tend to be a lot more self-conscious. As a result, society has grown more sensitive and accepting, which is terrifying. Complacent behavior restricts a society's development as to not ask questions or to oppose the status quo, and possibly overlooks potential valuable and relevant ideas.
Equally as important, if people still think having the same ideas is very beneficial, because having one idea will avoid conflict, as people conflicts tend to happen when there are opposing ideas and conflicting ideas, which mean having one idea will promote collaboration and group work between people, and this will help maintain peace between communities, which will stabilize societies and improve the group work and collaboration of many communities and groups.
Fragile thinking hesitates action, including ones that invoke an offensive manner. Questioning and refuting are among interactions that are required in order to argue and in order to seek the truth and a beneficial idea. Early exposure to the media and social difficulties lead to greater self-consciousness among younger children. Following a case study formed by the University of North Carolina, researchers proved early exposure to social media connects to sensibility. The American Psychological Association also remarked that children and most adolescents begin using technology and social media at one of the most important stages in their brain development, which leaves them vulnerable to consequences in neural development. Focusing more on self-stigma, a report from University of Wisconsin-Madison states self-stigma as consequence of being labeled with a mental illness, applying negative stereotypes about mental health to themselves, and applying a general negative image to themselves, bringing them down, especially among younger individuals not mature enough to handle such concepts. These studies prove that growing sensitivity is connected with early exposure. Because of this, society has grown hesitant, growing a fear to offend. However, society neglects that in order to argue, we must offend. Whether being through questioning or refuting, to risk being offensive is merely an extension to our right of freedom of speech, where in order to argue, we must offend people's points and we must offend people's ideas in order to result in a new one.
So, due to this hesitancy of wanting to offend people or wanting to hurt other people's opinions, more people do not want to question or argue what exists or the views that exist in society right now, which limits development as it prevents exploration of possibly innovative and progressive ideas in society. As you can see here, not arguing the existing and finding these progressive ideas is much like keeping them behind a locked door. You'll never know what's behind it, what ideas lie, and what developments can be made to society if you don't argue the existing views. To show you an example, there's this one great TED Talk by this guy. His name is Eddie Obeng. He is an organizational thinker, he is a public speaker, and he is an author. He gave a TED Talk on smart failure for a fast-changing world. And what I want to focus on is in this TED Talk, he has an example, he has the story of a thought experiment. The five monkey experiment. So this experiment consists of 5 monkeys in a cage. There was a banana on top of the cage, and there's a ladder placed below the banana. Then the monkeys would be tasked to climb and be sprayed by hot water if they did attempt to climb, which caused subsequent monkeys to pull down the monkey trying to climb because it would cause pain for all of them. Until none of the original monkeys existed, they still pulled them down, which represents that in our society, no one really encourages progressive behavior and challenging the status quo. Even this can be seen in schools where, having different interests or having anything is discouraged. Having a different idea at work could be laughed at colleagues, or
music. Now, how do I explain this? We live in a world where, pop music is, it's everywhere, right? It's on the radios, it's on music, it's on, YouTube, TikTok. But, in my opinion, right? Boring. Simple, unrealistic, redundant. You hear the same song like 15 times, you want to vomit, you want to die, right? And, I don't really like that. I like, newer ideas, newer instruments, new texture, right? And I feel like if we keep not innovating and just using the most simple, boring ideas, right? Guess what? We as a society are not going to move forward. Because guess what? We're the same society that allowed Dance Monkey to be popular throughout the whole pandemic. I don't want to hear Dance Monkey over again. I want to hear newer stuff and all of that.
Okay, so however, throughout history, it's been proven to be beneficial to question the status quo, as that is what caused countries or states to be independent by questioning power. Questioning norms of society is much like questioning power. Like the American Revolution, when the Americans questioned the power and rule of the British monarchs. They found the limitations and what are the norms, what are they being ruled by, and they questioned these. And they found that these were oppressive opinions or laws, and they found better ideas and better ideals that they could develop on. As UCLA stated, investigating the uses, abuses, and changing forms of power over the millennia can help us grasp how power may both limit and enrich our lives. This applies to questioning the norms of society. But instead of grasping and gaining independence from power, by questioning the views of society, we grasp and gain independence on our minds, on our views, and find a new opinion that society can help develop and bring forth better views and common ground on.
As the aforementioned issue affects the younger generation, it is important for educational institutions such as schools and universities to teach students basic skills on debating and public speaking, and this is because it will improve their critical thinking and their risk-taking skills. This is a good example of one of these institutions. They are called Young for Debate. Young for Debate, their goal is to help schools improve the education of students to be more risk-taking and improve their critical thinking skills. Critical thinkers are very important in today's society as they are able to improve society's development, and public speakers are also important because they are not afraid and aware of the current issues, so they are not afraid to make the general public aware about these issues and promote their ideas, which could be explored further to help society's development.
In conclusion, complacent behavior restricts a society's development as to not ask questions or opposes the status quo or the criteria that we've established. We don't really want to overlook potentially valuable, relevant, and new ideas, right? Because we live in a society where everyone has ideas, right? No one wants to talk about them. You know, we just want to hear, we just want to blindly listen to what's loudest, right? You know, and maybe it's not really the best, you know. We no longer listen to like what's wrong or right, but which one's like another, right? And whether or not it be by a minority group or like a large group of people, even in our like progressive society, I really want people to still fight the status quo or whatever template we established over the many years we've been alive. Because for me personally, in order to like, you know, progress or like go towards the future, we gotta have to learn to fight the past or what the past have laid down for us.
Okay, so to end everything off, we'll just leave you with one more quote by the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, that do not believe in anything simply because you've heard it. But after observation and analysis, when you find that anything agrees with reason and is conducive to the good and benefit of one and all, then accept it and live up to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 3. Can Group 4 now come? And we have Mahesa, Pasha, Ariel, Anya, Deandra, and Diva.
Should waste be wasteful? Good afternoon. My name is Alessia.
My name is Anika.
My name is Arfa.
And my name is Marcia.
Together we are Pabangko. In this presentation, we will be looking at the introduction, the repurposing harmful waste, decreasing farmer expenses, availability and applicability, and conclusion. With the threat of climate change and increased exhaustion of non-renewable energy at large, a new search for alternative sources of energy remains in search. Though, the find for new green energy is still very expensive to generate or unable to satisfy the needs of many. But what about biomethane gas? Biomethane gas is produced by the breakdown of organic matter and also within a general acceptable cost of manufacturing. This can be commonly found in dead plants, dead animals, kitchen waste, etc. It can be used as a way to not only supply Indonesia's problem with efficient energy, but also a way to control Indonesia's general sewage waste management, which is a recent issue until recently. Biomethane is key to a clean and self-sustaining Indonesian agricultural industry. Hence, its feasibility improves the general negative condition of the environment surrounding us.
So why biomethane? Biomethane repurposes potentially harmful waste that could contribute to climate change. Cows are an essential part of Indonesia's agricultural system. And with approximately 15 million cattle in Indonesia being fed all around Indonesia, hundreds of tons of cow dung are left typically to be used as fertilizer. Unfortunately, this poses an issue as the phosphorus and nitrogen found in cow manure after it has been applied to farmland as fertilizer can mistakenly run off into local waterways, which can contribute to algal blooms that can produce toxic, harmful to drinking water. Can produce harmful toxins that are harmful to drinking water. Biomethane can be used to counteract this, as excess manure can be used for the fertilizer, can be converted into energy instead, thereby reducing the possibility of waterway contamination, as the waste is used in entirely different ways. Poor management of manure can also contribute significantly to climate change. Manure is often disposed of in piles or lagoons, which can lead to dangerous methane emissions. This leads to many issues like negative health impacts, the loss of important nutrients in the soil, and environmental degradation. Biomethane can also be used to deal with this issue, as the excess manure can be transported and converted into energy instead of being left to build up on farms in Indonesia. As such, using biomethane creates an incredible opportunity, not only to help reduce and minimize the impacts of excess cow manure, but also to provide even more benefits to the environment and to the farmers directly involved in the process.
Biomethane can decrease farmer expenses through the reduced cost of energy. A survey found that farm expenses cost 3.8 million rupiah and earn a total income of 5.2 million rupiah a month, with 1.3 million from that total income put into savings. Electricity costs in every farm vary. Some have utilized energy for both the farms and homes, while others take a more traditional approach to farming. Whether or not they use electricity, these expenditures come at no easy price for farmers. This is why biomethane as electricity would highly benefit these farmers and help increase their income. There is an existing program in Indonesia called Electrifying Agriculture, where PLN gave electricity to farmers with the intention of modernizing their practices. Nearly 150,000 farmers joined this program, using more than 2,500 megavolt amperes as of September 2021. In November 2022, this figure has grown to 3,128 megavolt amperes and is expected to grow even more in the future. This shows that farmers who might have used conventional farming methods highly benefited from this free electricity, and they were able to realize these benefits from this program, and that in general there is actually some market for electricity among these farmers, but perhaps some just haven't had the privilege to use electricity. This program gained outstanding results. Farmers themselves said that they were able to save up to 40% in expenses and gained a 60% increase in production productivity. What differentiates our program from PLN Electrifying Agriculture, however, is that our energy is renewable and self-sustaining. The electricity distributed by PLN is, of course, non-renewable, meaning this program might not be able to stand in the long run. However, with our program, the energy will never run out. And not only will it never run out, but it's free and comes from farmers directly. The way the energy source, cow feces, are produced by the farmers themselves and distributed back to them will give them a sense of security. As long as they have cows, they will always have energy. And that energy will always be free and beneficial. That energy will give them access to the same benefits as PLN's program. Only this energy will be everlasting, and the benefits too will be everlasting. And from PLN's data, we can safely infer that we too can save 40% for farmers' production costs and increase their productivity, leading to the ability to sell more goods with a lower production cost, simultaneously decreasing their expenses and increasing their income.
Now, you may be wondering, why not solar power? Why not wind power? Now, as touched on previously, biomethane is readily available and applicable.
making it a self-sustaining energy solution in the long run. As we know it, various other renewable energy solutions exist with the same mission: to break the ever-persistent cycle of rapid depletion as an outcome of non-renewable energy sources. In light of implementing a feasible solution, biomethane's advantage over other approaches alike is usability. In contrary to other solutions including solar power and wind power, biomethane can be produced all around the world, regardless of diverse geographical position and weather conditions in each nation. In comparison to the use of finite resources to produce energy, biomethane is undoubtedly described as sustainable because its energy source is available as long as life is present on Earth. Cost-wise, as biomethane is a gas that can be produced with the breakdown of waste organic matter, specifically cow feces, the energy source itself is accessible for free. Along with this, the production of biomethane in Europe has proven it to be 30% cheaper than other solutions in the long term. What's more, it is largely versatile with the capability to be converted into several forms of energy through the installation of biogas plants or anaerobic digesters that are responsible for the conversion of waste into biogas, used as vehicle fuel, electricity, heat, and renewable natural gas. Furthermore, the similarity between biomethane and natural gas eliminates the requirement for the development of new technology or infrastructure. Hence, the adaptability of biomethane reduces the impacts of climate change and energy costs more so than alternative approaches currently in place.
To conclude, the acceptance of biomethane is key to a clean and self-sustaining Indonesian agriculture industry. If Indonesia allows itself to see the potential of biomethane as a potential source of energy, we can make the necessary steps for a better, cleaner, and advanced Indonesia for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Annika, Alessia, Arfa, and Marsha. Now we'll have group 5, Naima, Fausto, Alexander, Gemma, Prama, and Alema. Please come on up.
Good afternoon, my name is Jaya, and this is our presentation on inadequate access to clean water in Indonesia. These are my team members.
My name is Naima.
My name is Alema.
My name is Prama.
My name is Fausto. My name is Alexander.
Okay, so to give a little background information about our topic, although Indonesia is a developing country, we still suffer from a lack of a basic yet crucial need, which is basic water, or clean water, sorry. With a population of 237 million citizens, Indonesia is one of the most populous countries in the world and has the most significant economic rate in Southeast Asia. Despite this, the infrastructure of health and sanitation in rural areas and those living in urban slums are still tackling inaccessibility to clean water. Many homes in slums lack access to safe water because water sources are either distant, contaminated, or unaffordable.
Moving on to the health risks that may surface due to dirty or contaminated waters. This issue is one of the major concerns that should be prioritized to prevent complications in health, especially for children, elderly citizens, and families in these slums areas. Clean water is essential for health, dignity, and prosperity. If water is contaminated, it cannot be used without posing a health risk. Unclean water can produce a variety of waterborne illnesses, with cholera, typhoid fever, and dysentery among the most common sicknesses. Moreover, inaccessibility to clean water means lack of sanitation because it increases open defecation, which not only is an affront to dignity, but also poses a threat to the community and personal health.
In Indonesia, access to proper drinking water has reached more than 90% of the population. However, the realization of safe drinking water access is only at 11%, stated Ma'ruf Amin, Indonesia's vice president, during a speech for water and sanitation for all. Approximately over 18 million Indonesians lack access to clean water, with the majority of Indonesians living in the country's less developed regions or slum neighborhoods. With an adequate water treatment and distribution facility, all of this can be prevented.
Now that we have addressed the situation, we plan to establish a non-governmental organization or NGO to resolve this issue.
We've decided to create an NGO because they are more effective than the government for implementing development programs in rural and hard-to-reach areas. Through NGOs, we are able to collaborate closely with the rural communities. NGOs can experiment more freely to develop more flexible solutions to the issue they are seeking to solve because they are independent of governmental influence. NGOs work to advance public welfare. As our NGO will be nonprofit, funds will be collected in a multitude of ways, such as crowdfunding, fundraisers, donations, and membership revenues. As for now, we will be focusing on slum areas in Jakarta because they are struggling in terms of poor health and infrastructure. We will be targeting Muara Angke, a coastal area in North Jakarta, because over 75% of residents rely on shallow groundwater, which is heavily contaminated with coliform bacteria as well as heavy metals. Less than 50% of residents do not have access to piped water, and lack of funding or corruption, urban poverty, poor regulation of service providers, and urban growth outpacing infrastructure development have all been blamed for the inadequate levels of access and quality. As a solution, our NGO will provide clean water in rural areas by installing reverse osmosis filters.
All right. Our NGO will be using a membrane installation technique called reverse osmosis, or RO for short, which can be used to filter out undesirable molecules and particles. Depending on the amount of dirty and contaminated water in the slum area, we can run the system using conventional energy. Focusing on the source of this water, this could allow us to identify the type of reverse osmosis system we would need to install. There are three types of RO systems that we could use. First is conventional reverse osmosis, which filters groundwater. The second is brackish water reverse osmosis, which ingests then filters brackish water with salinity levels between seawater and freshwater. And finally, ocean reverse osmosis, which is a process that uses seawater as its raw water source.
The chosen reverse osmosis system creates a pre-filtration process which dissolves small particles, even the ones that can't be detected with an electron microscope, to pass through the reverse osmosis membrane, a filtration system that allows the passage of water molecules but not the undesired bacteria. After this process, the filtered water will travel to a storage tank which stops filtering once it is full and is kept for distribution when needed.
This is the perfect solution to the clean water crisis, commonly seen throughout the less developed regions of Indonesia. Slums, villages, and less fortunate communities. Our committee will not only be glad to contribute, but they would be over-enthusiastic to help out people in need. And we are certain you would agree. Think of all the dirty and unsanitary water that all these families consume. Imagine if said families were yours, constantly forced into sickness and vulnerability. And have some empathy for those who cannot even fathom drinking bottled water. We implore you to help our cause and to make sure that even those without money and housing have access to clean water. Thank you.
Great job, guys. And now can we have group 6, Adisa, Leah, Rabra, and Kayana come up? Thank you.
Have you ever really thought about it? Yes, you.
if you've just been consuming and consuming and consuming information without questioning whether or not you believe in it, or even if it's true. We'll give you that sense of awareness today that controlled media isn't correct or even ethical. I am Leah, and I stand here today with Adisha, Rara, and Kayana to discuss whether this is an issue and why people can be manipulated or even brainwashed due to one-sided information. Controlling, filtering, and spoon-feeding media has been an issue towards the general population. Governments controlling reporters and journalists causes the media to streamline and gives people information that the government desires. There needs to be a line drawn between factual, credible information and biased information meant to manipulate, which is why we believe that the lack of media literacy creates a homogeneous information pool that is provided to people.
According to 2017 data from the Ministry of Communication and Information of the Republic of Indonesia, there are around 800,000 sites in Indonesia that have been indicated as spreading false information. These sites are misused by certain individuals by disseminating anxiety and suspicion-inducing media. Further data published in the following years show that this issue still remains persistent and is still present among us. This is particularly important because the media controls how we look and react to things. Humans are susceptible to social influence, and the role of media in guiding us as people grows increasingly alarming without the presence of adequate and important media education, especially in Indonesia.
So, what is our solution to all of this? Let me introduce to you the POM online program. So, POM, which is POM, People's Opinions Matter, is an online program with about an entry fee of 200,000 rupiah per person. So, who can join? High school students all the way to adults can partake in this program with the minimal age of being 15 to 16 years old. And why do we, who is this targeted to? This is for people that are interested in increasing their media literacy and media literacy all around Jakarta mainly. So, what will you do in this online program? This online program will, participants of this online program will go around gathering data from mainly adults on current pressing matters such as social or political matters that are important to society today. And what will we do with this data gathered? The data gathered will be given to us where we will review this data and we will check for any hate speech, racism, anything controversial. Well, controversial is fine actually, but anything that's related to hate speech or will harm others along the way. And with this information, we will post it online on our POM website or social media account, which can be reviewed by anyone that can access it and, well, I guess, look at it.
People who are media literate are better equipped to comprehend public debates, participate in it, and overall make wise decisions. Regardless of the opinions of the subject, those who are media literate can take a critical perspective while deciphering media messages. The solution that we previously thought of, however, has a few setbacks. The solution cannot be as effective as we expected if not a lot of people are willing to participate, or if we reach a low amount of engagements in our ads. Regardless, we're now living in a digital age where information is so easily accessible, so we must always remain vigilant and wise while processing information. Spreading the message remains important nevertheless, and this is a critical issue present in the world and specifically Indonesia that can be addressed step by step. To recap, the lack of media literacy creates a similar information pool that can be provided to a lot of people. They can be manipulated or even brainwashed due to one-sided information. And to solve this, we've created an idea of an online program where students and adults can participate in the aim to spread people's difference in opinions and increase the awareness of media literacy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Team 6. Up next, we have Team 7 with Ezekiel, Vito, Khalifa, and Andro.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Each minute, as I'm speaking right now on this very stage, is equivalent to the number of cyber attacks happening globally. Parents and students, the University of North Georgia stated that there's a cyber attack happening every 60 seconds. Just imagine your phones, laptop, and other smart devices being hacked by an anonymous man across the world. Most of you wouldn't even notice it. And even if you do, how would you react? What would you do? Big tech firms are suffering from this issue, which is why my team and I have planned for a brighter future. Introducing our startup, Safer.
A significant concern is with cybersecurity is the rate of cybercrime. As my friend has recalled, a cyber attack happens every minute. According to Oxford Dictionary, cyber attack is an attempt by hackers to damage or destroy a computer network or system, meaning your data are endangered from digital companies. Then, according to Aspen Wealth Management, as people share their business and personal information online, digital criminals will always find a way to steal your data for the sake of their own benefit. Like, have you ever wondered why you're always recommended your interests on social media? The problem is that the data of billions of people are in a database of big tech companies, such as Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Although it belongs to a big company, it is very easy to access by digital criminals who are able to use them for their own benefit. Based on electric.ai, there are about 6 high-profile companies that are hacked in 2022. The biggest one happening in December last year, which was Uber. The digital criminal under the alias of Uber Leaks was able to gain information of 70,000 Uber employees and was posting stolen data. According to statistics.com, about 6 billion people are using social media. Just imagine if a digital criminal wants to hack a giant social media company, they would have billions of data, and I mean billions. Now, parents, you wouldn't want your child to be spied on by a Russian man across the world, right?
Next is our solution. We vision Saver to provide a powerful and secure data from digital criminals globally. According to IT governance, a powerful cybersecurity is dependent on its ability to achieve a powerful system. It is achieved by being able to protect systems, data, programs, and devices from cyber attack. CSO Online, a newsletter based on tech, stated that even the likes of Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Nintendo, Yahoo, and Alibaba are considered to have the biggest data breaches in the 21st century. It was estimated that it impacted at least 1 billion of user data and billions of dollars lost. Companies are experiencing ransomwares and data breaches because they don't have enough cybersecurity and a powerful program, hence making it an imbalance of force, which makes the digital criminals far more powerful. Cyberspace, an academy based on cybersecurity, stated that cyber attacks on companies are usually experienced by the lack of security assistance, system vulnerabilities, and the underestimating of the risk of cybersecurity. With Safer, our goal is to be able to provide as a reinforcement to support these tech companies. And Safer is no ordinary antivirus. It is more than what you think. We provide program that is ensured to be hard to crack by these hackers. And how, you may wonder. Our startup provides a powerful security assistance and ensures the codes of softwares are not vulnerable. The problem with these tech companies is that they lack software engineers, they lack good software engineers, and they are even very expensive to hire. Safer is a team of professional software engineers and people who specialize in cybersecurity, which will provide the updated programs to the companies.
Next is the benefits. With Safer's programs, we ensured that hackers aren't able to trespass the data of users. Big companies need our help, and that is because of the past experience they've had with data breaching and the loss of millions of dollars. With updated programs, algorithms, and code, it is going to be difficult for digital criminals to access. This will prevent the chances and the loss of billions of dollars in data. The disadvantages. Not only will it be hard to collect elite engineers, it will be very expensive to pay them. Since they are very experienced, their salaries won't be cheap.
Now for the advantages. The advantages is that the engineers will have a cheap cost. Now, finding the engineers might be hard, but hiring them won't be expensive. Now, to give you an example of what I mean, I'll give you an example. So let's say we have two engineers. The first engineer is Engineer Alpha and Engineer Bravo. Engineer Alpha is more skilled and experienced than Engineer Bravo. When Engineer Alpha works, it takes him about 3 hours to do his work, and he gets paid $150 an hour, which makes Engineer Alpha cost about $450. While Engineer Bravo takes about 10 hours to do his work, and he's paid $80 an hour, which makes him cost $800, which makes Engineer Alpha gets paid more. However, he is much more cheaper in terms of cost than Engineer Bravo. So what makes the engineers expensive is not how much they get paid, but it's how much they cost.
Now, for the recap, we have talked about the issue, the solution, and also the benefit. As digital criminals get far stronger, cybersecurity also must become more fierce to prevent this issue, and so that there is a balance between the two opposing sides. The safety of adults and children is important, especially because we live in a day and age where everything revolves on technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next we have Asia, Kay, Selena, Vienna, and Layla.
One child, one teacher, one pen can change the world, they say. Melajar Bersama, a non-governmental organization consisting of teachers and students that are willing to help educate people in remote areas of Indonesia. It is a solution that we have devised that could reduce the issue of educational inequality in our community. Some places in our country has rural areas, such as villages, forests, and even small cities that consist of lots and lots of people who are unfamiliar with basic livelihood of education that we have in big cities like Jakarta.
So before we start explaining, let me introduce us. So my name is Kay. This is Vienna, Selena, Layla, and Aisha. So our presentation is to bring awareness towards the social problem that we will explain further on with our solution of Melaja Bersama. So our topic, as said before, is about unequal education opportunities. This has a big impact towards small children that can't afford proper education for themselves. Melaja Bersama is basically an organization that will hopefully bring education to remote areas in Indonesia and reduce the inequality.
First, let's address the issue. Our issue that we target our solution towards is the limited access of education in rural areas in Indonesia. As students, we believe that education is essential to the growth of a person because basic literacy and mathematical skills help people become more aware of our world. The main causes of unequal education is the financial or social class of a family, which is typically towards people living in poverty who are unable to afford higher quality education.
Based on our research, in 2020, with 0.418 educational inequality, Papua became one of the provinces in Indonesia that mostly requires equal educational distribution. Out of the 8.4 million children living in Indonesia, there are still 4.3 million children ages 7 until 18 who are unable to attend proper school. As of 2021, around 42.7% of Indonesia's population lives in remote areas which tend not to have a school. Around 14.5% of people living there are in poverty, and 48.7% are in moderate poverty. This impacts the children and families that are unable to afford education. This is when our idea could help this problem and give people what they need.
So then, our possible solution include Melaja Bersama providing educational textbooks as well as providing lessons to those who cannot afford it. Basic educational knowledge is very impactful for students because it gives them the option of developing their knowledge, and that would be a skill that is majorly used later in their daily lives. An example would be the skill of reading and writing, which are used for a variety of reasons, which also include learning, entertainment, and work. It is a skill. Melaja Bersama is a proposal to create a non-governmental organizations which consist of students and teachers who are willing to help those who are limited to quality education. Our first choice of solutions was to provide and give out educational textbooks which include math and literature, to give them a start at basic access towards a better education. Another option we had considered of was giving free study and tutoring lessons towards those who could not afford to attend school.
Now let's talk about the pros and cons of Melaja Bersama. Let's start with the cons. We acknowledge that the solution is much more costly than our other solutions, but the idea proposed to solve this issue is to start a fundraiser that can be set both online and offline to receive donations to raise the organization. An alternative would be to get a sponsorship or collaboration from other schools or organizations with the same goal. Melaja Bersama is also believed to have a less severe goal and issues that like climate change would lead to having difficulty to gain more staff. And to solve this, the project could be advertised as a services action experience or could be advertised on social media platforms. However, the pros of the solution also outweighs the cons by a larger scale. Compared to other solutions, Malaja Bersama is a longer-term solution where the trial period is 6 months to a year, and if it goes well, will be as stated before, Malaja Bersama will have a trial period of 6 months to a year, and if it goes well, will be continued for another year or so. This solution is also much more effective, allowing less members of staff with a larger audience. An example would be 1 teacher per 24 students. Malaja Bersama is also much more inclusive towards our school community. This project includes both teachers and students who are willing to participate and set on as a services action experience for underclassmen.
In conclusion, inequality in education is a large and significant issue that many places around the world are facing. Rural areas such as Papua do not provide good quality education for its people. In addition, many families struggle to afford education due to finance-related concerns. Malaja Bersama, the organization we have developed, seeks to provide assistance with resolving this critical issue. We plan to gather a group of volunteers, teachers, and students that are interested in contributing to address this problem. These groups of volunteers will visit remote villages and towns that are in need of educational assistance. They will personally teach and tutor the students about the basics of multiple subjects such as math and literature. Therefore, we encourage you to continue your educational journey and explore topics and ideas that you may be interested in. Keep in mind that we are incredibly fortunate to have access to high levels of education.
So that's all from us. Thank you.
Great job. Next we have Mahesa, Pasha, Ariel, Anya, Deandra, and Diva.
Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago, with over 18,000 islands. However, possessing thousands of islands has its drawbacks. 60.8% of the population lack access to primary healthcare facilities. The country has just 1.7 hospital beds for every 1,000 residents, the lowest among ASEAN countries. Distance in transportation, workforce shortages, broadband access, inadequate health literacy, and other factors all contribute to the difficulty of providing access to healthcare. The issue of transparency and workforce scarcity could be eliminated by implementing a program to improve access and quality of the rural healthcare system, led by the Indonesian medical facilitators and overseen by the Indonesian Minister of Health. We appreciate the government's efforts in developing a national health insurance scheme, BPJS Kesehatan, and such with the primary objective of improving healthcare affordability for those who live in urban areas. However, it excludes those who reside in remote regions and do not have access to medical services. BPJS also overlooks infrastructure, labor, resources, and some other aspects required to improve healthcare accessibility.
Other than BPJS, the government has also provided JKN and Puskesmas. JKN, which is Jaminan Kesehatan Nasional, is an insurance program which aims to give assurance to all the citizens of Indonesia. Again, all, not only the lower classes that's from the BPJS, but all. And inside this program, there is Puskesmas. Puskesmas is a government managed healthcare centers at
sub-district level that implements a variety of public health programs, which is a health clinic with a scale smaller than a hospital. Includes antenatal appointments and family program services, and is usually staffed by a general practitioner and a nurse. So, how are we going to improve the healthcare system in our country?
So it's clear that Indonesia has not turned a blind eye about accessibility of the country's healthcare system. However, there are still a lot of things to improve, as you can see. One thing to improve on is the lack of health facilities. It has been said that 62.9% of the population in Indonesia lacks access to hospitals, and another 60.8% of population lack access to primary healthcare facilities such as puskesmas, midwives, and more. So, the lack of health facilities decrease the ability to diagnose patients with certain diseases. Some diseases require more advanced health tools, for example, an MRI scanner. This absence of health facility limits the doctor to help treat a patient. Another thing to improve on is the lack of workforce. As you can see, Jakarta has 1 doctor per 350 people, which is 27,000 people per 10.3 million, which is so low. And if you combine Maluku and Papua, they have 1 doctor per 4,000 people, which is 1.7 thousand, and 6.5 million people. One of the reasons to the low patient-doctor ratio in rural areas is because doctors refuse to pursue their careers in these areas due to the low salary they receive compared to big cities. However, it is not impossible to change the medical health system that will encourage more doctors to practice in less developed areas and provide health facilities for those from lower economic groups.
As a group, the solution we deem to be the most accessible, to be the most effective is establishing a non-governmental organization that is overseen by the Indonesian Minister of Health. The organization will focus on providing accessible healthcare for its citizens, specifically those who live in rural areas and part of the middle and low social and economic class, which as mentioned earlier, is targeted to 3 main courses of action: government direct provision, government subsidies, and modification of the education system for health-related majors.
In the context of government direct provision and subsidies, as an organization, one of our roles will be to serve as a bridge and propose to the government to initiate changes to the allocation of budget, like to increase the percentage of financial allocation to the health industry. By being a non-governmental organization while being overseen by the government, we are able to have control over the organization and finance of our operations, ensuring transparency and efficiency, it being one of our key promises in this organization. While in the context of the modification of the educational system for specifically health-related majors, as an organization, we plan to work together with universities and the Ministry of Education in ensuring a fair distribution of medical students to all parts of Indonesia. This means our organization will approach this by making programs that make it a requirement to participate in an internship program whose location is determined by the government in order to graduate and receive a medical license. Additionally, as we also would like to approach this in a way that is able to impact society sustainably, we would also like to explore the ideas of making it a requirement for doctors to be residents in a specific location amongst the Indonesian archipelago for a certain period of time.
Non-ideal situations call for urgent actions. Therefore, it is important to recognize that with every problem, there will always be a possible solution, despite its inability to be a perfect one.
To sum up our presentation, I would like to give out a conclusion. So, we acknowledge the fact that Indonesia had done some efforts to improve the healthcare system in this country. However, we identified that we identified some healthcare problems that can be put more attention to, such as the low ratio of doctor to patients, and as well as the lack of health facility. Therefore, we have proposed a solution to tackle this problem by implementing a program run by medical facilitators along with the supervision of the government. This solution can even be more successful without the issue of transparency and government mismanagement. We're confident to propose this solution because we believe our solution can decrease major health problems, reduce risk of sudden deaths, and as well as to help diagnose diseases in rural areas. Thank you.
Great job. Next up, we have Alika, Akma, Nadira, and Bianca.
Us humans of the 21st century live in a world full of diversity. We have different types of people from different backgrounds belonging to different races and gender. We often hear about gender inequality or gender discrimination, but what does it actually mean? Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Akma, here with Bianca, Nadira, and Alika, and now we will be talking about gender discrimination that causes inequality in the workplace. So, the general meaning of gender inequality is the unfair rights between male and female based on different gender roles leading to unequal treatments. The topic of whether men and women should have equal human rights has been the center of controversy in many parts of the world. And it is a sensitive issue that needs urgent redress from leaders because it remains grounded in people's cultural, social, economic, and political systems. It's not only women who are affected by gender inequality. Both men and women can be victims of gender discrimination. However, in present-day society, the female gender lacks a wide range of human rights. Gender inequality has become a common issue that has come across workplace environments, in which women are treated as a minority in comparison to their male counterparts. Many women have experienced firsthand and distinguished that they are the lesser paid gender. Workplace environments have significantly more male-dominant crowd. Women are set apart when they are equally intelligent as men. It is very casual that women are also capable of doing a particular job as men. Gender discrimination in workplaces is just a series of flawed assumptions and must be stopped because female workers can be just as productive as male employees in doing an allocated task. In order to combat multiple discriminations within labor and workplace practices, actions should be taken to acquire equal rights in the workplace.
Gender shouldn't be a factor in whether or not a person can be a great leader. Everyone deserves to reach their full potential. But gender inequalities in their lives hinder this reality. Society tends to believe that women should not be in a positions to lead. It is a given that in the workplace settings, women are not presented the same equal opportunities that their male counterparts receive. They receive such treatment despite being able to demonstrate the best skills, experience, and knowledge which are necessary for leadership job roles. The ratio of women graduating from college to that of men is increasing, and they have also been offered comparable salaries to men. Gender equality in the workplace can be achieved when people are offered the same rewards, resources, and opportunities. Many countries have been making significant progress towards gender equality recently, especially in education, health, and women's workforce participation.
Implementing wage transparency is a key plan of action to obtain equality within the workplace and to combat any discrimination which happens to female workers in a workplace setting. Despite the significant societal changes over the decades and public policy programs that have aimed to close the gender wage gap, women still earn less than men. Women globally are paid approximately 20% less than men, according to a report from the International Labour Organization. Some women are also forced into low-paying occupations, which ultimately keeps them out of higher-paid occupations. The benefits wage transparency would bring to workplace settings are the improvements in trust between employees, despite the difference in gender. Dane Atkins, CEO of SumAll, told Business Insider in 2017 that wage transparency drove employees to become increasingly productive and collaborative. As well as a 2016 study published in the Journal of Business and Psychology, which stated that employees were much more likely to ask for help from the right people when information about what their colleagues make is disclosed, thus urging companies to provide women with an equal amount of pay as they deserve to be paid proportionally to the effort and results that they produce in the workplace. According to a report from the Institute for Women's Policy Research made in December of 2017, 17% of private companies practice pay transparency, 41% discourage the concept, and 25% prohibit discussing salary information as a whole. Wage transparency provides a progressive solution that gives working women a tool to counter gender inequality, since they offer a sense of acknowledgement and existence and size of gender pay gaps. And lastly, according to a 2017 report from the Institute of Women's Policy Research, in the private sector, where companies don't have wage transparency policies, women earn 79% of what men make.
Establishing an organization that advocates and fight for women's rights, especially equal wages, is a key solution to combat the discrimination women often face in the workplace. These changes can only be implemented if people in higher positions are urged through proper reasoning. And to be able to achieve that, we must first do what we're able to do. Doing things such as creating or starting an organization that fights for women's rights or to just simply volunteer for one can spark significant changes. Based on a survey conducted, 2/3, or about 65% of the men who took part in the survey, believe that women will not achieve equality unless men also takes part in taking action to support women's rights. This statistic further proves how an organization that empowers and advocates for women's rights is extremely necessary to bring more attention to the issue. In a workplace context, women accounted for 39% of total employment in 2019, but 45% of global employment losses in 2020. The need for advocating organizations is crucial, as they serve as strong platforms that inform populations on a global scale the crucial informations, current facts, and statistics concerning the issue of gender inequality, most specifically faced by working women who need their voices heard.
So, if the right actions and interventions are made at an organized level, the fight against gender inequality in workplace situations can be achieved on a global scale. This is an issue of significant seriousness and presents negative effects on the lives of women. Furthermore, the large-scale issue of gender inequality affects both men and women. And for that reason, making solutions to this issue is all the more necessary. Limited career options, leadership bias, and other factors are further examples of this issue's manifestations. Selected procedures and initiatives may be considered potentially effective solutions for workplace gender inequality. They are, as we presented, wage transparency and advocating working women and their work. The use of efficient methods can help in overcoming current ethical difficulties and reducing the effects of sexism in workplaces across the globe. I am Akma Shahira Siregar.
I'm Bianca Hills.
I'm Nadir Salina Putri.
I'm Salma Alika, and that concludes our presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for the attention.
Great job to that group. Next up, we have Aisha, Brigitta, Dara, Hanaya, and Cheryl.
climate change, one of the biggest issues humanity faces today. Let's be honest. Do any of us really think about it in our everyday lives? I mean, I know I don't. And so do my peers. But think of it. Each individual repeating a cycle in their lives, say, driving to school or driving to the mall. We never really think much about these small details. Nonetheless, as we do this, little by little, the issue will add up, leading to an even greater problem. While it is important to avoid these activities while it is impossible to avoid these activities in our modern era, it is still possible for us to find an alternative solution to the issue.
It is true. The effects of climate change is not only breaking the ozone layer, but rather it also damaging the health of many people. With rising temperatures and toxic chemicals still in the air, many people face a lot of concerns regarding health, such as respiratory, cardiovascular, cerebrovascular diseases. Especially those who are young, elderly, have medical concerns, or those who are less fortunate. This is a huge issue as climate change is a problem that is still ignored even regardless of the negative impact that it holds. But have hope as we have a solution that is, next please, geoengineering, the promotion of public transportation, and also alternatives to fuel.
Geoengineering takes part in preventing climate change from worsening. It helps manipulate and reverse the effects of climate change. Two types of geoengineering includes carbon geoengineering and solar geoengineering. Both play a role in reducing the impacts of climate change. Carbon geoengineering focuses on addressing the root of the cause of climate change by removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. On the other hand, solar geoengineering is the process of reflecting a small portion of sunlight back into space to reduce the amount of solar radiation. Carbon geoengineering includes activities such as afforestation and reforestation, which are the actions of planting or replanting trees, ocean fertilization, which according to Oxford Geoengineering Program is the process of adding nutrients into certain locations of the ocean to increase primary production, which will draw down carbon dioxide, as well as enhanced weathering, which is known as exposing minerals that react to carbon dioxide and storing them in soil or ocean. Meanwhile, solar geoengineering is including albedo enhancement, which is increasing the reflectiveness of clouds and lands, and stratospheric aerosols, which is releasing reflective particles into the upper atmosphere. Both of these activities are done with the main goal of reflecting sunlight before it reaches the Earth's surface. Although the process of solar geoengineering plays a big part in preventing climate change, it may include physical risk for humans that are in close range of this process, as it includes contact with radiation. However, according to the Royal Society, while geoengineering itself is still in the process of being developed, reducing direct and socially mediated risks are still being handled. While geoengineering contributes in bringing positive impacts on the environment, this is a new idea that is currently still being processed. We have prepared another solution, which is very doable for us in our daily lives, which are public transportation and alternative fuels.
In our society and economy, mobility is essential. An effective and accessible transportation system is crucial for the welfare of our society as well as our quality of life, which is why this industry continues to pose one of our major environmental problems. According to the International Energy Agency, established in 1974, land and water vehicles are responsible for 24% of direct carbon dioxide emissions as a result of burning fossil fuels, with 3/4 of these emissions being produced by road vehicles. I understand that you need to use your vehicles to get to work, to earn money, and for students, you need to use your vehicles to go to school. But our daily actions have a long-term effect, which is why the amount of emissions produced by the transportation industry must be drastically reduced. To accomplish this, we could limit the amount of gas needed for a specific vehicle, thus slowing down the rate of carbon dioxide emissions. Finding a substitute for fossil fuels is also important to reduce their influence on the environment, the climate, and even our air quality. An example of this would be using natural gases. CNG and LNG are examples of the most efficient alternatives to diesel, and it would offer CO2 reductions by up to 20%. CNG means compressed natural gases, and LNG means liquefied natural gas. Both are relatively the same substance. One produces energy by liquefying natural gases, and the other compresses it. This is a sustainable substitute to diesel because they are natural gases. Unfortunately, this has a high cost due to its manufacturing process. A more simple and straightforward action we can take is limiting our transportation. According to the United Nations, driving less or using a bike or even walking will both benefit the environment and improve our fitness and even our health. But what if the place is too far and that we're too tired to walk? Well, instead of using one vehicle, try taking a train or a bus, as well as carpooling whenever possible. Even traveling abroad by airplane is a large contributor. Take Greta Thunberg, for example, a climate change activist. It took her 14 days to cross the Atlantic to attend a climate conference in New York City. Instead of traveling by airplane, she used a zero-emissions boat to limit her carbon footprint. We can do the same by implementing these solutions in our everyday life.
In conclusion, this pacing issue has not only impacted our planet, but also our health. It has also caused an irreversible damage to our Earth. In spite of that, there are methods to mitigate the release of carbon emissions to our atmosphere. Methods such as geoengineering, along with normalizing eco-friendly transport, could serve us in seizing the issue. Us as people could still stand a chance against this dire issue. And with that, we conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Great job. Last but not least, we have Amir, Ezra, Aurelio, and Advik.
Good afternoon, friends, family, and distinguished guests. My name is Amir. This is Advik, Ezra, and Aurelio. Today, we will be presenting regarding Jakarta's air pollution. So first, we have an introduction to the topic, then we have our solutions, then we have a concession regarding your concerns, and then we have our conclusion. So this is our introduction. We will give brief background information and a thesis statement. So, did you know, as of the 13th of January, 2023, IQ Air has measured that Jakarta's air quality index peaked at around 162 that day. Taking note that Indonesia places as the 21st country with the worst air quality worldwide, and with a PM 2.5 concentration level that is 6 times more than what is recommended by the World Health Organization. Additionally, the Global Alliance on Health and Pollution revealed that an estimated amount of 123,800 deaths in Indonesia are attributed to the air pollution that is forced upon Indonesian citizens every day. To say these numbers are concerning are far more than an understatement. Instead, it is disrespectful to the hundreds of thousands that have continued to suffer due to Indonesia's poor air quality management. Air pollution in Jakarta is an issue that cannot simply be blamed on one party, as every Indonesian citizen is to blame. with the government unable to find a compromise in the nation's budget to invest in cleaner energy, businesses with a heavy reliance on coal as a source of energy, and millions of citizens reluctant to commute by public transport. A solution to this problem requires a long-term plan that would not only fix the energy infrastructure of Jakarta, but also invest in various modes of affordable public transportation in the hopes of appeasing and encouraging citizens to commute with public transportation instead of private vehicles.
Okay, so
sorry, this is our thesis statement. A solution to fix this problem would require a long-term plan that would not only fix the energy infrastructure of Jakarta, but also invest in various modes of affordable public transportation.
Now we have our solutions, various possible solutions. Okay. So first, it is important to note how low Indonesia's usage of renewable energy is compared to many other countries. According to Dian Graha Electrica, a national trading, contracting, and engineering company focused on renewable energies, reports that despite Indonesia's geological advantages in producing clean energy, the nation is estimated to have only put use 13.83% of renewable energy in its primary energy consumption. To put this into perspective, Germany's Environment Agency reported that 46% of Germany's energy consumption is produced by renewable means, thus serving as a critical contributor to the much cleaner air quality index found throughout the nation. Additionally, Indonesia's Energy and Minerals Resources Ministry has stressed that in 2021, only 0.3% of the country's potential for renewable energy has been utilized despite the various geological advantages that Indonesia has. These advantages include an abundant amount of sunlight due to the country's strategic positioning on the equator, strong winds all year round, and various hydro advantageous energy solutions, such as the utilization of ocean waves on the coastlines of Indonesia. To utilize this, a solution to be introduced would require a large part of Indonesia's investment toward developing solar farms in the western region of Jakarta, where more sunlight is available, averaging about 11 to 12 hours every day. The options to invest in renewable energy sources on the coastlines and oceans surrounding Indonesia would be beneficial, as the construction of large-scale wave-to-energy converters and windmills at Pantai Indah Kapuk, an area in the northern coastline of Jakarta, would take heavy advantage of the country's wind energy and hydroelectric production potential. This solution should help reduce the amount of coal-produced energy that is used.
Second, Indonesia's citizens favor the use of private transportation such as motorcycles due to the low cost in comparison to the public transportation that the country boasts to develop. With an estimated amount of 120 million motorcycles and 16 million cars currently being used in 2021, the country shows no signs of slowing down the production and its use up until 2022. But it is not the citizens to blame, as Indonesia's public transportation sector is simply lacking and underdeveloped, with choices for the lower classes being far more limited, dangerous, and uncertain, as drivers of angkots in Indonesia are often caught smoking, speeding, and disobeying traffic laws, with costs constantly fluctuating. This decreasing incentive for individuals to use public transportation, while safer options are far less affordable to many citizens. The Ministry of Transportation in Indonesia should continue to expedite the construction of Jakarta's MRT service, while setting aside funds for the various bus operators throughout Jakarta that allow for an easy commute from common living areas to business districts. Furthermore, the Ministry of Transportation can invest in the slow implementation of electric vehicles. For example, the city of Dubai had implemented a law requiring government-owned vehicles such as ambulances, police cars, military vehicles, and motorcycles to be electric. This will allow for slow implementation for electric vehicles to be built, alongside the infrastructure needed to build them. This also provides time for the supply to meet the demand of the citizens as they slowly convert to the usage of electric vehicles once more charging stations and accommodation facilities for the mentioned electric vehicles are implemented.
Third, requires the government to work with NGOs and local governments to urge citizens for the implementation of various community-level activities. This will be done to reduce the production of pollution in Jakarta. This will be done to decrease the current. The example of this is encouraging the implementation of car-free day at many locations throughout the city. As for now, we can see that there are only six places where car-free day is applied throughout the city, which public modes of transportation such as MRT are already being put to use, thus not being effective in reducing the amount of carbon emissions in more densely populated areas as opposed to the various business districts where the event is currently being held. Once this has become a normal recurring event throughout every region of Jakarta, the citizens will get accustomed to finding new modes of commuting, and thus giving enough time for the people of Jakarta to adapt to not using private vehicles.
Arguably, a large portion of these solutions heavily relies on the government to be able to mandate these policies, regulations, and innovations. Additionally, the government's funds would also have to be reallocated to focus on these issues rather than the other myriad of problems that the nation is currently prioritizing. But it is important to note that the Ministry of Investment has already started to consider investing a larger portion of the nation's funds to these infrastructure of energy and transportation sectors as of 2022. Unfortunately, the ministry has been unable to do so due to the government's lack of urgency in tackling the air pollution problems within Indonesia, which will require the people to constantly urge government officials to realize how detrimental Jakarta's air pollution truly is. Furthermore, many of these solutions are actually already being implemented, but on a far smaller scale, as it is mainly initiated by NGOs or non-governmental organizations. If the government were to understand the severity of the issue, large-scale operations may be issued in the near future as Indonesia strives for a long-term project that will help solve the various issues that result in the poor air quality found throughout Jakarta.
As for the conclusion, the solution to such a large-scale problem requires a long-term plan that would fix the various causes to the issue at hand. In terms of air pollution in Jakarta, the solution would first require the country to invest more in renewable energy sectors to replace the current domination of coal-produced energy throughout Indonesia. Second is the lack of affordable and safe methods of public transportation, which decreases the incentive for citizens to commute without private vehicles. Additionally, the lack of the implementation of electric vehicles as compared to other countries is a major disadvantage in Indonesia's fight against air pollution, which could be started by mandating government-owned vehicles to become electric. While these long-term solutions are being implemented, the government can also urge NGOs and local governments to implement car-free days in the hope of getting citizens to use cleaner methods of commute and public transportation, thus preparing not only the country's infrastructure, but also changing the habits of Jakarta citizens for the better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys so much for the amazing presentations. We've run a little bit over time, but honestly, I think that just goes to show how passionate our students are about their topics and how much they have to say on them. So now we're going to shift over to an award ceremony. We are so proud of all the hard work all of our students have accomplished, and we'd love to celebrate them. So we're going to just call them up group by group. The first group that went was Pippa, Alta, Mari, and Karana. If you guys could come up on stage, we have some certificates to give you guys. Second group we have is Ghana, Rafi, Tyrone, Isan, and Bingtang. Our third group is Kai, Ariel, Andiza, and Bailan. Okay, group number 4, we have Anika, Alessia, Nurul, Arfa, and Marsha. Group 5, we have Naima, Fausto, Alex, Gemma, Prama, and Alema.
Group number 7, Ezekiel, Vito, Khalifa, and Andro. Okay. Group number 8, Aisha, Kay, Selena, Vienna, and Lila. All right, group number 9, Mahesa, Pasha, Ariel, Anya, Tiandra, and Diva. Okay, we might have some technical difficulties up here, but we're gonna keep going. Group number 10, Alika, Akma, Nadira, and Bianca, please come up. Group number 11, Aisha, Brigita, Dara, Hanaya, and Cheryl. And last but not least, we have Amir, Ezra, Aurelio, and Advik. Please give a round of applause for all of our HTS graduates.
Okay, while we're finishing up giving everybody their certificates, we just want to acknowledge the 4 students that we have chosen for their exceptional work to get some continued mentorship from the Crimson. So with that, we would love to congratulate Annika, Advik, Tyrone, and Alta. Good job, guys.
We're now going to pass it over to a member of our partner team, Learn with Leaders.
I hope you all had a great learning experience. I saw some amazing presentations, and I hope you're able to apply the learnings of the program in your real life. I would like to especially thank the mentors for flying from the US and sharing their learnings and knowledge with the students. I would like to especially thank the school and, Miss Vicky Gardner and for providing us with the venue, and Miss Fia and her F&B team for being tremendously hospitable, and Mr. Zul for covering the event. Lastly, I would like to present a memento of appreciation to the school. I'd request the mentors to present the award to Miss Vicky.
And I get the last words. I'd like to echo what everybody else has said. First of all, and thank the Harvard mentors for joining us. Thank the Learn with Leaders team. I'd like to pay a special thanks to the whole Global Jaya team. I've been reflecting on how fortunate we are to have such incredible staff working so hard behind the scenes. I'd like to ask you to please put your hands together for them. They've really worked hard over their weekend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My final thanks to the parents and the students for signing up. As I was listening to the presentations today, I was thinking that the people on the stage who have talked to us for the past couple of hours, they're in charge of our future. They're the ones who are going to be taking care of us, and the biggest thing that I'm going to be taking away today is that our future's in great hands with these guys. Thank you so much. Learn with Leaders, Harvard Crimson Leadership Academy, we're out. Thank you. Goodbye.